My travels with my prayer life and my life with Christ and my art life, which I really saw as one, I ended up doing painting icons with an iconographer outside of Pittsburgh. And he eventually invited me to work out there, so I ended up moving to a town called Jeanette and renting a house out there, actually, while I was working with this iconographer. And the iconographer was someone who was at one point in his life, was actually a monk at St. Vincent's Abbey, but he decided not to take solemn vows because he wanted to be an iconographer full time. And while I was working with him, I met one of the monks that was at the seminary at St. Vincent's in Latrobe, Pennsylvania. And he was a monk that was actually from this house while I was studying there at the seminary. And we stuck up a friendship, and he used to come out to my house in the evenings and paint with me. I would give him painting lessons. And really, really fascinating guy, a good friend. I would go and I would pick him up, and we go and we paint till like sometimes like 10 o'clock, 11 at night, and I'd drive him back home. And we did that. Friends, I guess I was out there, for a year and a half, 2 years, working on the icons and stuff. And then there was one day, he invited me to lunch at the Abbey. And during lunch, he kind of told me, it's like, Kevin, I think you may have a vocation. And I was like, can I let him talk? And he talked to me and stuff while they're sitting there having lunch. And I thought, I thought there during that, well, I got to get rid of this guy. But then on the drive home, I prayed about it. It's like, Kevin, it's like, is your life yours or is it Christ's? So it's all right, Lord, if this is your will be done, your will be done, Lord. If you want me to kind of look into this is from you, make it clear to me. So I got home. As soon as I'm opening the door, unlocking my door and going in, the phone's ringing. And it was Brother Guy, who was vocation director from here at the time, Brother Guy Jelinek. And we ended up talking on the phone, we hit it off. I ended up talking on the phone for him for a good hour. We just hit it off, had a really great conversation. He asked me if he could mail some stuff, some materials out to me, and as well as kind of like a questionnaire stuff. It was almost kind of like this personality test and stuff. And it came to me about a week later, and I took the test, thinking, I was like, oh, good. Take this. He'll get the results and won't ever want to hear from me ever again. And I sent it in, and then about a week later, I get a call from him. He's like, Kevin, you got really, really high marks, really, really ridiculously high marks. I was like, well, dadgummit, darn it. So I'm not going to get rid of this guy. And but at the same time, it's like, I kept on praying, like I always had a prayer life. Very active in the parish out there as well. Also active in the choir. And also painting like with the icons and stuff. So that my faith was very, very much alive, very active with the sacraments, with reading scripture, praying the rosary. So there was always a whole lot going on. It was also part of like my career as well. And like when you paint icons, it's part of it. It's an active prayer. It's an active faith. So it really worked in right with the beliefs that I have already about art. And but eventually, I got invited out here, and I came out for my first week, and God made it very, very clear. It's like, Kevin, I want you to do this. God made it black and white for me. That's a story for another time, though.